You know that feeling? When you're wrestling with English, you're putting in the work, maybe tackling tricky grammar, memorizing vocab lists, but it still feels like you're hitting a wall. Like that fluency you want is just, out of reach. It's super frustrating.
It really is.
And it makes you wonder, right? What if the real key isn't some secret grammar rule or, I don't know, a magic list? What if it's actually about how you're thinking about learning in your head?
That's a really, really good question. Because what we see, well, so often, is that the hurdles English learners face, they aren't always about the language itself. It's more about those internal things, the beliefs, the attitudes they hold about their own abilities. About the whole learning experience, actually.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving deep into today. Specifically with you, the listener, in mind. We've been looking closely at some material, think of it like concentrated insights around this exact idea. How a positive mindset can, really unlock English fluency. Our goal is to understand why. Why this isn't just some, feel-good advice, why it's fundamental. We want to help you spot those sneaky negative beliefs holding you back. And maybe more importantly, figure out how to build some genuine, solid self-belief.
And this matters so much because, look, if you're putting your valuable time and energy into learning English, you want to see results, right? You want that effort to pay off.
Of course.
So this isn't just about feeling better, though that's nice too. It's about getting a new lens, a new perspective on your progress. And equipping you with real strategies to navigate those challenges that feel so discouraging sometimes, making the journey, more effective and definitely more rewarding.
Okay. Let's unpack this. Let's use a scenario. Picture two people learning English. They've got the same resources, maybe the same apps, same books, putting in roughly the same study time, yet one of them just seems to be moving forward, takes challenges in stride, bounces back from mistakes. The other one seems like they're constantly struggling, gets disheartened easily, maybe even, avoids chances to speak. Despite the effort, feels stuck. What's the difference? What's that missing ingredient?
Often it is mindset. It's less about some innate talent or just pure luck. Think about the work of Carol Dweck, the psychologist. Her idea is about fixed versus growth mindsets.
I've heard of that.
So our core beliefs about our abilities, they have this huge impact. Someone with more of a fixed mindset might believe their language ability is just set, fixed.
Like, I'm just not good at languages, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So if they hit difficulties, they think, well, I guess I'm just not cut out for this.
It's like saying, I'm just not creative or I'm bad with tech. It becomes a label you just accept.
Precisely. And with that fixed view, there's this tendency to avoid challenges because, challenges might expose that supposed lack of ability. Mistakes feel like proof of those limits. And giving up when it gets tough seems like the only option.
Oof. Yeah.
But then you have the growth mindset.
Okay, the more hopeful side.
Exactly. A growth mindset is basically believing your abilities can be developed. Through dedication, hard work, learning from what happens. People with this mindset, they tend to see challenges as chances to stretch themselves. Mistakes are like valuable feedback. Progress comes through effort.
So it's not about being brilliant right away. It's about the process, improving over time.
Right. And interestingly, research shows that learners with a strong growth mindset, they might actually feel stuck more often.
Really? Why is that?
Because they're constantly pushing their boundaries. But the key difference is how they interpret that feeling. It's a sign of growth, not failure.
Okay, that's fascinating. So applying this directly to learning English, you really see how this underlying mindset shapes everything. The material we looked at points to some key areas like motivation and persistence. If you truly believe you can improve, you're way more likely to stay motivated, right? Keep going when it's hard.
Absolutely. And resilience is tied right into that. With a positive mindset, a bad test score, a confusing conversation, it doesn't feel like the end of the world.
Right.
You're more likely to see it as, a temporary setback. And you bounce back.
And just think how it affects your willingness to actually practice. If you believe you can get better at speaking, you'll be much more willing to, put yourself out there, even when it feels uncomfortable. Less fear of mistakes holding you back. It reminds me of the time I tried ordering food in another language. Totally messed it up. So embarrassing then. But looking back, that's actually when I started remembering the right words. Funny how that works.
It really is. And that leads us right to that fear of mistakes. It's huge for language learners. A growth mindset really helps fight that. It fosters openness to feedback.
So you don't take criticism personally.
Exactly. You see it more as guidance, helpful stuff to improve. And maybe most importantly, when you have faith you can learn, the whole process shifts. It goes from being a chore to something more engaging and an enjoyable challenge even.
Right. Whereas, the material points out the flip side. A negative or fixed mindset, that creates real roadblocks. Avoidance, fear of mistakes making you clam up, procrastination, this constant feeling of inadequacy, even if you are making progress. It's a tough cycle to break.
It really is. Which brings us to this core idea, believing in yourself. The sources we looked at really emphasize this. It's not about being arrogant, or overconfident about where you are now.
Okay.
It's about cultivating this quiet internal confidence. Confidence in your potential to learn and get better.
So less about saying I'm fluent already and more like knowing deep down I can get there if I keep learning, keep practicing.
Exactly that. It's that core belief that with consistent effort, the right strategies, you can reach your English goals. And this self-belief, it directly impacts those things we just talked about, like fear of mistakes.
Right.
When you believe you can learn, mistakes feel less like failures, more like necessary steps. You become more willing to take risks to actually communicate.
Like jumping into a conversation with a native speaker, even if you're nervous.
Precisely. It gives you the courage to step outside that comfort zone, knowing that even if you stumble, you'll learn something from it. And during those inevitable plateaus, those moments of frustration, because let's be real, everyone hits them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That underlying self-belief is what keeps you going. You trust that your efforts will eventually lead to progress. It's like having an internal compass.
It's like having your own personal cheerleader inside telling you you've got this.
In a way, yes. And think about this. When you're not constantly battling those doubts, your mind is actually more open, more receptive to absorbing new information. Self-belief frees up your mental energy to just focus on learning.
Now, the material also brings up something really important, past negative experiences. How they can wear down that self-belief. Maybe a bad teacher, unsupportive classmates, or just feeling like you failed before when trying to learn English.
Absolutely. These things can create a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, can't they? Well, if you've internalized those negative messages, if you believe you're just not capable, you're less likely to put in the consistent effort, right?
Right. Which then limits your progress.
Seemingly confirming that original negative belief. It's a really tough cycle. But the crucial message here, the takeaway, is that your past does not have to define your future learning. You absolutely have the power to rewrite that story.
Okay, so how do we rewrite it? The material gives us some really powerful truths. Reasons why you listening right now, should absolutely believe you can learn English. And the first one is so basic, it's easy to miss. You've already learned a language.
That's right. Just pause and think about that for a second. You have already mastered the incredibly complex skill of speaking your native language fluently. That alone proves you have the cognitive ability, the built-in learning mechanisms. Learning a second language isn't starting from zero. It's building on what's already there.
It really is huge when you stop and think about it.
Yeah.
And the material also makes a great point. Language learning is a skill, something you develop, not just some magic talent you either have or you don't.
Exactly. Yeah, some people might seem to pick things up faster, but at its heart, language learning grows through practice, effort, using good strategies. It's really like learning an instrument or riding a bike.
Yeah.
The more you do it, the better you get.
Which ties right into another key point. Your effort and the methods you use matter more than some idea of natural talent. The research really backs this up. Your dedication, your strategies, those are the real drivers.
Absolutely. So if you're putting in the work, using effective methods, you're on the right track, regardless of whether you feel like a natural or not. And let's also reframe difficulty. English has its challenges, sure. Tricky grammar, weird pronunciation, tons of vocab.
Definitely.
But hitting those difficulties, that's not failure. It's actually a sign you're pushing your boundaries, expanding your knowledge. So instead of getting frustrated by, say, a tough grammar point,
you can try to see it as, okay, this is where the learning happens.
Precisely. Embrace those challenges. They make you stronger. And don't forget to look back at your past successes, even outside language learning. Times you learned a new skill, overcame something big, reached a goal. What strengths did you use then?
Like resilience, determination.
Exactly. You can absolutely apply those same strengths to learning English.
And let's not forget your own motivation, your reason for learning English. Career, travel, connecting with people, that's a powerful internal resource, isn't it? To draw on when things feel tough.
That why is your fuel. Keep it clear in your mind. It provides momentum. And finally, really important advice from the material. Focus on your unique journey. It's so easy to compare yourself to others who seem faster. But everyone learns differently at their own pace with their own strengths.
Right.
Your journey is yours alone. Keep your focus on your progress, your motivations.
Okay, so we get it. Positive mindset, self-belief, absolutely crucial. But how do we actually do that? Especially when there's that little voice, that inner critic the material talks about, constantly whispering doubts.
Ah, yes, the inner critic. It can be pretty loud for English learners, can't it? Pointing out every little mistake, chipping away at confidence. The very first step is just awareness. Noticing when that voice pipes up. What kinds of things does it usually say?
Oh, I'm just not a language person. Or, I always make so many silly mistakes. Or the classic, native speakers talk way too fast, I'll never understand them.
Yeah.
I think pretty much everyone learning a language has those thoughts sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. And the material offers some really practical ways to challenge and reframe these common negative thoughts. Let's take that first one. I'm just not a language person. First, recognize it. That's a fixed mindset talking. Then question it. Is that really true? What's the actual evidence? Remember, you learned one language already. Try reframing it with something growth-oriented, like, I'm capable of learning languages, or my English is improving with practice.
What about, I make too many mistakes? That one can really sting, especially when you're trying to talk.
The key there is challenging the whole idea that mistakes are automatically bad. Are they really failures? Or could they be, well, essential steps? Expecting perfection when learning something new is just unrealistic. Try reframing it like, mistakes are natural, they're part of learning, or every mistake helps me learn. Shift your focus maybe to getting your message across, not perfect grammar every single time.
That makes a lot of sense. And that feeling of being overwhelmed by fast native speech, they talk so fast. That's a big one.
Challenge that feeling of never being able to understand. Is it realistic to expect full understanding right away?
Yeah.
Have you given yourself enough exposure? Reframe it with a focus on progress over time. I understand more now than I did last month, or my listening will improve with practice.
Right.
And remember, you have tools, subtitles, slowing things down a bit as you build skills. Use them.
And feeling self-conscious about your accent, that my accent is terrible. Worry.
Challenge the idea that you need a perfect native accent to communicate well.
Yeah.
Does your accent actually stop people from understanding you? Often, no. Reframe it by embracing your unique voice. My accent is part of me, and that's okay. Or, my main goal is clear communication, not sounding like someone else.
Yeah.
You can always work on pronunciation for clarity, sure, but the accent itself doesn't define your ability.
These reframes are really helpful. There's also that feeling of, I'm not learning fast enough. I think loads of learners feel that pressure.
Challenge that whole idea of a right speed. Are you comparing yourself to some unrealistic standard? Are you actually acknowledging the progress you have made?
Good point.
Reframe it by focusing on your journey. Language learning is a marathon, not a sprint. Or, I'm progressing at my own pace, and that's fine. Celebrate the small wins.
And then just that general feeling, it's just too hard, which can be so demotivating.
Challenge how general that is. Is everything too hard? Or is it maybe one specific thing right now? What resources, what other ways could help you get it? Reframe by breaking it down. Again, this part feels challenging now, but I can tackle it in smaller steps. Or, getting through this will make me stronger.
And finally, the material mentions that old myth. I'm too old or I'm too young to learn a language well.
Yeah, that's a limiting belief with very little basis in reality. Challenge it. Is there any real evidence that age stops you? Reframe by focusing on the advantages you do have at your age.
Yeah.
Whether that's maturity and discipline if you're older, or maybe brain flexibility if you're younger. Everyone has advantages.
Okay, so we've looked at spotting these negative thoughts, challenging them, reframing them. But what about broader strategies to just lessen their power overall?
Yeah, the material outlines several key strategies for that. First, and maybe most crucial, is just self-awareness. Actively noticing your internal chatter. Identifying those negative thoughts when they pop up. Keeping a journal can be really helpful too. Writing them down, it makes them less overwhelming. You see patterns.
Right, gets them out of your head and onto paper.
Exactly. Then, consciously challenge them, question them. Don't just accept them as truth. And like we said, practice reframing. Turn them into more positive, realistic affirmations. Repeating those affirmations regularly. That can really start to shift your mindset over time.
I can see how that repetition could be powerful, like reprogramming that internal script.
Absolutely. Mindfulness practice helps too. Just observing thoughts without judgment, it creates distance from those negative patterns. Also, make a real effort to focus on evidence of your progress. Keep track. New words learned, conversations you had, even small improvements in understanding.
Tangible proof.
Yes. And sometimes just talking about it helps. To a supportive friend, a teacher, a language partner, sharing those negative thoughts can lessen their grip, give you a fresh perspective.
Okay, so we're working on dismantling the inner critic. Now, how do we proactively build and maintain a positive mindset? Because it sounds like it's an ongoing thing, right? Not a one-time fix.
That's exactly right. It needs continuous, conscious effort. And the material offers several really practical strategies for your learning routine. Setting realistic, achievable goals is absolutely key. Break down the big, maybe scary long-term goals into smaller, manageable steps.
Right.
Well, instead of just get fluent, maybe aim for learn 15 new words about my hobby this week, or have a 3-minute chat with my language partner by month's end. Something concrete.
And then make sure you actually celebrate those small wins. Acknowledge them, appreciate every little bit of progress.
Exactly. Did you understand a phrase in a song? Use a new word correctly. Take a moment, acknowledge it. Also, regularly reconnect with your why. Remind yourself why you started learning English in the first place. That motivation is huge. Maybe even spend a few moments visualizing success, seeing yourself using English.
And I guess surrounding yourself with positivity helps too.
Oh, definitely. Spend time with supportive people. Join positive online groups. Limit exposure to negativity or discouraging voices. And don't underestimate basic self-care. Enough sleep, good food, managing stress, it all impacts your mindset and motivation.
And I really like this suggestion. Focus on enjoying the process of learning, not just the end goal. Find methods you actually find fun, watching movies, listening to podcasts you like, playing language games, whatever works for you.
Yeah, when learning feels enjoyable, it's much easier to stay positive. And keep reframing mistakes. See them as learning opportunities, feedback helping you improve. Keep visualizing success. Picture yourself speaking confidently.
And those small milestones reward yourself. Positive reinforcement works. And finally, practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. Learning a language is hard. There will be tough days. Treat yourself like you'd treat a friend facing the same challenge.
Absolutely. All these things work together. They help create a more supportive internal space for your learning.
Now, to really make this concrete, the material includes some really inspiring stories, composites drawn from real learners' experiences worldwide. Let's start with Maria from Colombia. She had this huge fear of speaking.
Yeah, Maria had studied English for years, but the thought of actually speaking it, pure anxiety, terrified of mistakes, of being judged. Her turning point was joining an online language exchange. At first, just text. But the group was so supportive that she gradually built up the courage for voice calls. It was scary at first. But the native speakers were patient, focused on understanding her, not correcting every error. That shift from avoiding mistakes to just focusing on communication, that's what helped her overcome the fear and build real confidence.
Then there's Ahmed from Saudi Arabia. He really felt like he was a slow learner, battled those negative thoughts constantly.
Yeah, Ahmed truly believed he was just slow. But then he learned about the growth mindset concept. It challenged those fixed beliefs he had. He made a real effort, started using new words, tracked his progress carefully, focused on his effort, not comparing himself. And seeing those small steps forward, that became incredibly motivating. Helped him shake off those old feelings of inadequacy.
Layaway from China got caught in the comparison trap. Discouraged because classmates seemed faster.
His teacher gave some great advice. Focus on your progress. Compete only with your past self. Li Wei took that to heart. Set personal goals, celebrated his own improvements, like finally understanding a movie he couldn't before.
Nice.
He realized everyone's journey is different. Focusing on his own path was way more motivating and effective.
Aisha from Nigeria had a different challenge about lack of confidence using English professionally, even though she knew her stuff.
Yeah, classic imposter syndrome in English work settings. She worked with a tutor who focused not just on language skills, but specifically on confidence. She practiced talking about her work, used positive self-talk, found low-stakes chances to practice professionally. Gradually, she started to really believe she could communicate effectively at work.
And finally, Javier from Spain. He hit that frustrating plateau. Progress stalled, motivation dipped.
Javier consciously reconnected with his original why. Why did he want to learn English? And he changed things up, added variety to his routine, things he enjoyed. He came to accept that plateaus are normal. Persistence is key, even when progress isn't obvious. By re-engaging, trying new things, he eventually broke through.
It's powerful hearing these stories. The challenges were different, but the common thread, that positive mindset, that self-belief, it was key for all of them overcoming their obstacles.
Absolutely. These aren't just one-offs. They really showed the huge impact that internal shift can have.
Okay, so let's bring it all together. A toolkit for you, our listener. Actionable tips, practical tricks for cultivating that positive mindset. We've touched on a lot, but let's quickly recap the key strategies.
Okay, start with self-awareness. Just notice those negative thoughts when they pop up. Don't judge, just notice. Then actively challenge them. Are they really true? Question them. Practice reframing. Replace the negative with positive, realistic affirmations. Write them down, say them regularly. Maybe set smart goals for your mindset, like challenge one negative thought each day this week.
Keep a progress journal. See how far you've actually come. That visual proof helps. And recording yourself speaking. Maybe awkward at first, but listening back later. Seeing improvement. Huge confidence boost. Focus on your effort, the process itself, not just perfect outcomes. And embrace mistakes. Analyze them. They're learning opportunities.
Find a supportive community, online, in person, wherever. People who get it. Use visual affirmations, sticky notes where you'll see them. Visualize success daily. See yourself speaking confidently. Celebrate those small wins. Remember self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. Find joy in learning. Use fun methods and regularly reflect on your why. Reconnect with that motivation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's circle back to that core message. Grammar, vocabulary, yes, they're essential. We need those building blocks. But it's that positive mindset, that unwavering self-belief, that's the real engine driving you towards fluency.
You absolutely have the capacity to learn. You have powerful motivation inside you, and you can control your inner dialogue by understanding how much your mindset matters, by challenging those limiting thoughts, by actively building self-belief.
Yeah.
You're not just learning English. You're really on a path of growth and empowerment.
So we really encourage you start applying these strategies. Notice the negative thoughts, challenge them, build that belief. And as you keep going on your English journey, here's a final thought to chew on after today. How might consciously nurturing your mindset not only speed up your English learning, but also positively impact other parts of your life? Think about that connection, mindset, and achievement. Keep exploring the incredible learner you already are.